Hello and good evening tonight, and welcome to Channel 36 in West Hollywood. And I'm very happy to have my guest tonight, and thank God he said yes and he come on the show. Lorraine Stewart. And I've been doing shows here in WeHo for quite a long while. Excuse me. And I've had varied guests on, but no one like Mark Richard. And hello, Mark.
How do you do?
How are you tonight?
Well, I'm great.
Like
Wonderful
I said,
to be here.
Happy to have you tonight.
Thank you so much
Very
for asking
happy
me.
to have you. Yeah. You're a man of many talents, many talents, and you have such a zest for life, which is so important, I think.
Well, thank you.
You light up.
Thank you. Well, I love people.
You could tell that.
I
It's
do.
an aura about you. First of all, I'd like to ask, where were you born? What city? Was it L.A., New York?
Well, I'm glad you asked, because I was born in the fabulous city of Detroit, Michigan.
Oh, Detroit.
And I say that because for so many years, Detroit has gotten such a bad rap as being such a bad city and a rundown place. But fortunately, they're making a big comeback now. But when I grew up in Detroit, it was one of the most fabulous cities in the United States. And it was a very creative, artistic, it was a very rich city. And in fact, there was a tremendous amount of money in Detroit.
It has certain magic about it, in its own way.
Well, it had fabulous museums, fabulous theaters, very rich neighborhoods, and very few people know that during the war years, there were more motion pictures and cameras running in Detroit next to Hollywood of any other city in the United States.
I never knew that.
Because all of the training in military films for the equipment that was made in the automobile industries, when they weren't making automobiles during the war, was done in Detroit. So that is where the factories were turned into military equipment making machines. So there was a very creative force there, fabulous symphony orchestra. My grandfather played for the Detroit Symphony Orchestra, and my uncle played percussions for the Detroit Symphony Orchestra.
So you have a musical family.
I do. I do.
That's where you get some of your talent.
Well, maybe.
So tell me, I know you worked with celebs. I know you came in contact with them, and he's also, we'll talk about that, fabulous and a well-known makeup artist too. Okay. I think when we were talking, you mentioned Judy Garland, something about her, and she played in Detroit, right?
Well, Detroit had a lot of theater attractions coming there, and the Nederlanders, which are the big theater family, they were for many years, were bringing attractions and stars into Detroit. And I was very interested in the performing arts. I studied, in my life, I've studied singing and dance arts for over 20 years. Not because I wanted to be a celebrity or a star with it, but because to me it was like a sport. And I love dancing, and I just wanted to be, in the dance world. Well, also, I wanted to see everything that was coming to Detroit, and so we could get jobs and see things by working as ushers in the theater. And I was about 14 or 15, and I would hit every theater and see the attraction that was there. Well, they were bringing Judy Garland.
How exciting.
Well, anyone who has not seen the movie Judy should, because it's fabulous, and Renee Zellweger is fantastic.
I heard she did a good job. Yeah.
Brilliant job. And Judy was booked into the Riviera Theater in Detroit. This was after her Palace Theater engagement. Well, I got to the theater one afternoon to see if I could get the job ushering, and
excuse me, how old was Judy about that?
you
More or
know,
less.
I would say that she died at, I think she was 47.
Right.
So I would say she was in her very early 40s.
Early 40s, okay.
And I was very aggressive in the theater. I would like walk around the theater, and once I was in there, there was no security then. You know, doors were open.
Oh, everything was free and easy, not like today.
Yes, that's it's just you could just walk around.
Right,
Nobody
right.
stopped you. And I walked backstage, and there was an orchestra rehearsal going on, and there was a dressing room open, and I saw Miss Garland in the dressing room, and I was about 14 or 15 years old, and you know, that was like seeing, you know, the biggest star in the world,
Amazing,
Judy
yes.
Garland. And I looked into the dressing room, and I said, Miss Garland, oh, I'm so excited to see you. And she said, what are you doing back here? And I said, well, I work in the theater. I'm going to be an usher so I can see your show. And she said, are you here every night? And I said, well, I could be. And she said, how would you like to work for me? And I said, work for you? What would I do? And she said, well, every night when you come into the theater, you come back and you see me. And if I need anything down the street, the drugstore, or if I need you to get me something or to buy me something,
How
you could run
fascinating.
my errand for me, and I'll take care of you. And I said, well, I have several of your albums, your records, and I'd like you to sign them. And she said, you bring them in and I'll sign them for you. So I came there, and she took hold of my face. And she said, you're so darling. She said, you remind me of my Joey. And when
She was
Judy
so sweet.
Yes, she was. When Judy Garland touched your face, and I can almost still feel that sensation on my face, it was so tender. It was so lovely. It was so endearing. And she almost embraced me. And she said, now you bring your records and you come every night and you see me before you start your job, and you know. So I brought the records down, and she took them out of my hand and she put them on the floor next between the legs of the table and
Right.
the wall. And I thought I'd get them later in the evening. But she was very clever. She didn't let me have them right away. She kept them for the entire engagement so that I would show up before she signed them.
What
You know,
a brilliant
she was brilliant.
experience.
She was very clever.
Oh my God.
Well, the sad part of it is if you've seen the movie Judy, what happened at the Palladium, the London Palladium, was exactly what happened at the Riviera Theatre. They were never quite sure they could get her on stage. She
What
started to fall apart. But they did.
What occurred exactly with her?
Well,
Her behavior, how was it?
Well, she was erratic. She would lock herself in the dressing room. Rumor was that she was drinking. Maybe she was on medication. I don't know. I always got to see her for a moment.
Right.
And she was nice.
Right.
And, but...
All stressed out, huh?
She was all stressed out, but sometimes she would keep the audience waiting a half hour before she'd go on.
Really?
Yeah. And they did everything they could to get her on that stage. And in no matter what condition she was in, this is the interesting part about
And the
it.
people would budge from their seats.
They just waited. They would make
waited.
announcements and they waited patiently. There were opening acts.
Right, right.
But no matter what condition she might have been in backstage, when she got on that stage, she was brilliant. She was fabulous. She just sang her heart out and always finished the program with her, in her clown outfit that she did in that wonderful scene in Easter Parade of We're a Couple of Swells. She had that outfit on and hung her legs over the stage, and at the top of her lungs, without a microphone, sang Somewhere Over the Rainbow. And of course, the whole house every evening was in
Wow.
tears. So, years later, I got to meet her second husband, I think was Vincent Minnelli. And I became very good friends with Vincent Minnelli. And his wife at the time was Lee Anderson, who became Lee Anderson Minnelli, who was a very well-known publicist. And I was interested in photography, and I worked for her as her photographer. So I covered a lot of events.
Did you see Eliza?
No, I didn't. Liza never
didn't?
came around to the house. They lived in Beverly Hills, across from the Beverly Hills Hotel. And I was in the house all the time because I would take pictures. I would go with Lee to all these parties and functions, take pictures and bring her the proof sheets the next day. So I got to talk to Vincent a lot about a lot of the scenes. And he liked me because I understood the shots he was, he was involved in, and I could explain them how I saw them. And he said, you got it, you got it. And he liked that.
That was, not everyone went through that or had that experience what you went through, so you were very fortunate.
It was quite, I got to know Vincent up until the day he died, and I knew Lee Anderson Minnelli to the day she died, and she was a stunning woman, very clever. She was English, and she died a few years ago at 102.
Oh, God bless her.
And
how about Minnelli? He died after Judy died.
oh,
right?
yes, many years after.
Many years after. Oh. Not too many people would go through that and, like I said, have that experience that you did and work with them and everything like that and know them and get so personable with Judy, very intimate. I think those scenes in the dressing room, I mean, when you were saying it, that she touched your face, it's like I could feel it, the way you said it and everything. And she was so lovable and caring. And such a shame because her life was so short.
Well, I felt that she trusted me for some reason. She just immediately took me in to her fold, But I was careful when I met Vincent, and with all the things we talked about, that I never talked about Judy.
That's good.
I decided not to. He was involved with this lady that he was going to marry. He hadn't married Lee yet. And they were living together, and they shared a house, but she took care of him. She took fantastic care of Vincent because he wasn't so well in the last few years.
Okay, so after that, what led you into, let's say, makeup?
Well, actually, before that,
okay.
Because I was interested in makeup, having been in the theater, and I was interested in. My grandmother was a very close friend of Helena Rubinstein. They knew each other in Poland.
The Helena Rubinstein.
Yes, Madame Rubinstein.
Yeah.
And my grandmother knew all the beauty rituals from Helena Rubinstein.
Right.
And she practiced them and taught them to my mother, and my mother did them. And I was interested in that glamour world of beauty and cosmetics. It fascinated me. And as I said, I had studied voice and dance, and I went to New York, and I went to an open audition the first week I was there. And as luck would have it, I went to an open audition, and they needed a singer in a production of The King and I that was going to be played at the Coconut Grove Theater in Coral Gables, Florida. So within 1 week after getting into New York, within 1 week I was on a plane flying to Coral Gables, Florida to be in a production of The King and I with no experience, but because I auditioned.
Good timing.
And they needed somebody, and my voice just fit the bill. I got hired, and that's how I got my equity card.
Great.
So it happened real fast.
Great.
Well, I came back, auditioned for a couple of other shows, and got hired for a few, did some summer stock, and then went on a national tour with a production of Half a Sixpence. And then when I came back to New York, I said, well, it's winter time, and maybe I should get a job for Christmas. And all the stores were hiring for Christmas. There was an agency that would hire temporary people, actors and singers, to go into the department stores as demonstrators. And I got hired by Elizabeth Arden's to demonstrate and spray men's cologne around and talk about Elizabeth Arden at Bloomingdale's. And celebrities would walk in. Everybody came into Bloomingdale's in those days. And Polly Bergen walked through. And I had always admired her.
Oh, lovely lady. A great actress, too.
She was.
Great actress.
She was. She turned out to be a very fine actress and a great singer.
Right.
And had a great sense of humor. Well, she too was very friendly, and I said, "You're so fabulous," and I watched you for years on television. She was on all these talk shows, and I'd like to work for you. I hear you're starting a cosmetic company, something in the cosmetic industry. And she said, "Well, I am, but what do you do?" And I said, "I can do makeup." Very, boldly, I can do makeup. And she said, "Oh." I said, "Yes, I can do makeup." Well, I hadn't had that much experience in it. And she said, "Well, give me your name, write it down, or give me your card, and if something comes up, I'll be in touch with you."
You were a great personality.
Well, I was a lot younger. And a couple of months later, my phone rang, and there was a woman on the phone by the name of Miss Walker who said she was representing Polly Bergen. And Miss Bergen would like to interview me. Would I come to the office? And her office was here in Beverly Hills on Cannon Drive. And I went to the office, and I got hired on the spot to be Polly Bergen's traveling makeup artist, to travel with her. And she had a partner, a lady partner that created the makeup for her that was going to train me. So I sort of got her to train me to do everything.
Wow.
And I was learning makeup, and Polly was introducing me to all of her celebrity friends, and we were going to all these fashion shows, and I was watching all the models do their makeup, and I was learning from inside.
Learning and being thrilled by it all.
But inside.
Yes.
And I worked for her for several years, and when that came to an end, I liked it so much that I wanted to be in the industry doing makeup.
Excuse me, can I ask you one thing? Women with their makeup today, I think you mentioned something to me, and I asked you, I said, we see so many women, they're not wearing any makeup at all, And then you said to me, hey, there's nothing like a little mascara, a little lipstick, just a little color. Right or wrong, correct?
I did say that.
Or mistakes women make with the makeup.
Well, the biggest myth about women wearing makeup today that I hear them say is, "I don't like to wear makeup. I think it makes you look older."
You hear that. Yeah.
And I say, au contraire. If you're not wearing makeup, you're looking older. Makeup, if applied properly, will make you look younger and enhance what you have. And that's what makeup is supposed to do. But the big mistake that women make is that they don't know how to apply it. And they don't seek professional advice. They buy makeup, they try it, and then they look at themselves.
It's either too much sometimes or too little.
And they just don't know how to do it, or they stop in some place like a department store, and somebody puts a lot of makeup on them to sell it, and then they go look in the mirror and they go wash it off.
Right.
And it's important to get a professional to help you and show you, or take a makeup lesson if you don't know how to do it.
What are the best colors, like in shadows, that enhance the face? What would you suggest? I guess it depends on the hair color and the woman's complexion too, her coloring, right?
I'm glad you asked that, because that's another mistake. Stay away from color. Don't buy a big palette of colors.
Right.
Stick to your basic colors, like for eyeshadow, of your browns, your grays, your gris bruns, which is a gray brown, maybe a very deep sort of gray blue, but don't put a lot of white and color and around your eyes.
How about eyeliners?
Eyeliner is probably one of the most important things you can wear. Knowing how to line your eyes and doing a nice fine line around the eyes. I always think of what made Greta Garbo so beautiful was her eyes and her eyeliner.
Oh, she had great,
You know,
great eyes.
eyeliner goes back thousands of years.
Long time, I know.
And it's probably one of the single most important things.
I know myself, if I don't have a little eyeliner on, I feel tired and I look tired, you know, without the eyeliner on.
Well, it opens the
Yeah,
eyes.
yeah, right.
A little eyeliner, a little mascara, an eyebrow pencil, a lipstick are the things a woman needs. You don't need a lot of stuff. If you have a lipstick, you can use it. You can make a little bit of as a blush. You know, if you have mascara, you open your eyes. If you have an eyebrow pencil, you enhance your eyebrows. You don't need to pile makeup on to look good, but you do need some makeup on. And if you don't have any on, you look old and tired, and no matter what you think you look like.
Well, they always say, oh, go natural. Natural look is better. Well, I think the natural look is great if you're 15 years old and 16 years old and something like that without any makeup on, you know. But I think a woman, if she gets in her late teens or early 20s, that's when she needs a little bit of the makeup, correct?
Well, I always tell women that the only thing when you meet somebody that they're going to remember about you, and you know, on the outside, I'm not talking about what you're giving them from the inside.
Right.
That old expression, you never have a second chance to make a first impression, really is true.
That's true.
And they're going to, like if you're in a wedding, and you're walking down the aisle, they're not going to remember anything about you except the way your face looked. How that camera captured you if you're having pictures taken. How you look. The glow of your face.
First impressions, like you said.
Better to have a less expensive dress, but have a well-made-up face and look beautiful. You know, and if you can afford it, don't hesitate to go have your makeup done by somebody. Have a test first. Try it out. But be well made up. Look pretty, you know, and makeup can make you look pretty. Listen, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. It's one of the biggest industries in the world. There has to be something to it.
Oh, there is. Now
You know.
tell me, I'm going to ask you about men and makeup. Because men are, you know, some of them, they get their face done, they get their hair done, their nails, and I think some men eyebrows too, right?
My answer to that is probably more men than you think or know are wearing some type of makeup. And they're camouflaging something or enhancing or taking some dark circle away under their eyes, or if they cut themselves, they're wearing a little something to cover that. If they're shaving, you know, and they cut themselves. My father always powdered his nose and his face and he had a pink powder puff, and it was about as macho as they come. You know, men did that. They had their powder.
And years ago, men used to go and get their manicures, their nails done too.
Well, they still do.
Yeah, they still do.
And now they get their hair colored.
Right.
And most beauty salons today, you will find that probably 40% of the business inside the salon is men.
I mean, they want to look as nice as women, so why not, you know?
Well, the art of makeup really went back to men in the courts and in the French and in the Renaissance. And, you know, and it was the men that wore the wigs and the makeup. And
How about the Roman Empire? They used to do that too.
I wasn't
right?
there. I don't know.
No, but reading about it
Yeah,
in school
right.
with the eye makeup and everything that they had. I mean, they had that centuries ago also and everything.
Well, the Egyptians did, that's
yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
But they had, you know, the cosmetic industry has tried to push makeup for men for many years. It's really not gone that far, but they do have bronzers, and now they have facial care products.
Right.
But I was on a cruise ship a few months ago, and there was a gentleman on there, and he wasn't very attractive. He and his wife were on board, and he had terrible rosacea and one of those big red noses, you know, that looked like it was puffy and red, and his skin was very red.
Yeah.
But they were a lovely couple, and there was a party one night, and he showed up on the formal evening, dressed up, and he looked so handsome, and his skin looked so beautiful. And I said to his wife, I said, "What did he do?" And she said, "He has a little bottle of makeup, and he knows how to wear it. And he learned how to wear it, and when it's important, he covers that rosacea, and his nose, he conceals it."
He had a good technique and everything.
It was perfect, and he looked great, and nobody knew it. So that's why I say probably more men are wearing makeup than you realize.
Well, that's interesting. Definitely. God, time's going by so fast. You mentioned something about, can we talk about a little bit about Nancy Reagan?
Yes, we can. I got to meet her on many occasions. In fact, I became very friendly with her. She came into a place of business that I was involved with, and she spent a lot of hours in this place. It was a hair salon, and I had a business there. And she was there, and we would talk a lot because my workstation was right next to where she would have her hair done. And we became quite friendly. And we were totally different politically, I will say that, but she didn't care. She didn't care what anybody's political association was. If you were a decent, nice person and could have a good conversation, she was interested in talking to you. She got a bad rap, I think, along the way.
They said she was a very lovely lady, very personable, and not pretentious, nothing like that.
Well, I don't know. She had very fine taste. And there were people that didn't particularly say nice things about her, and she knew it. And she would talk about that. But I thought she was fabulous. She was so interested.
Very classy young
but
lady.
she was so interested in other people. If she heard that somebody was sick that came into the salon, and they were sick 2 weeks ago, she followed up on how they were doing, and she would always say, "Well, you tell them I asked about them." She was concerned about other people.
Well, people like that you really can't forget. You really can't. You know, they're just waving at me, waving at me. I could talk to you for hours and hours and hours, okay? But I think the time is limited
Well,
right
I could
now.
talk to you for
okay,
hours.
I know you can. Again, thank you so much for coming on. Truly, truly a pleasure. And I want to wish you a very, very happy holiday. And thank you for joining us tonight on Channel 36 WeHo. Lorraine Stewart signing off, and happy holidays. Bye for now.
Thank you.